Hey guys, welcome back to my truck and welcome to daylight savings time where it's pitch black at 6:30 p.m. Sorry about the quality of this video, but I just left the gym. I'm actually not feeling very well this week, so I didn't think my second video was going to come out, but went to the gym, got my blood flowing a little bit, so I think I can talk for a little bit. So let me see if I can knock this out before I lose my voice. But today's video, I want to talk about something that I hear a lot of and that police officers are often blamed for. And I want to talk about the quote-unquote two-tier justice system. You know, the justice system for people with money and the justice system for people without money. And this is often talked about as the justice system for white people and the justice system for black people. I don't so much buy the difference between white people and black people. I don't believe that the justice system has a bias with regard to race. I do believe that the problem is more about money. It's more about money and the education of the person that is being accused or that has been arrested. I've got a couple of examples from my own career that I want to talk about here. These are cases that I dealt with that, you know, I was the initial arresting officer or the initial officer that took a report. I did my job. I took a report the way it was supposed to be reported, or based on the law and the circumstances I was dealing with at the time, I'm the one that made the arrest. It's the court system that kind of took this way out into left field and kind of went crazy with it. And both of these cases caught me off guard. The first one that I want to talk about is kind of the shortest one, the most simple one. This was a case where it was in the middle of the afternoon. I was called to a local business. It was like an automotive shop. And they called in because they had a firearm that they kept in the office. This is like a small, just street level auto shop. And it's owned by some foreign-born Americans. I guess I can say that. I think, if I'm not mistaken, I think they were Middle Eastern of origin, but it doesn't really matter. So these guys have this small auto shop on my precinct, and they keep a gun in the office. And these guys, God bless them, they don't always make the best decisions in the world, but they're not opposed to hiring people off the street to do odd jobs around the shop. They could pay them under the table, pay them less than minimum wage, and it's kind of a win-win for both parties. Well, they hired this guy off the street for odd jobs, and he found out that they had a firearm in the office. So one day he goes into the office, and unbeknownst to him, there's cameras everywhere. And he opens up this drawer where a gun is sitting. He has a shop towel with him. And this dumbass, it's all on camera. I watched the footage. He takes the towel, he looks around, and he drops the towel in the drawer. He goes, oopsie, I dropped my towel. Picks up the towel kind of with both hands. I know you guys can't see my hands around there. Picks up the towel with both hands and goes and puts it in like his backpack. And then kind of meanders around for a very short period of time and then takes off. He actually tried to come back to work the next day. And that's when the store owner grabbed a hold of him, was like, you stole my gun, you piece of shit. You know, I want it back, blah, blah, blah. And he actually detained this guy for us to arrive. So I arrived, I got the story. I went ahead and, I was there by myself. So I went ahead and put cuffs on the guy, detained him, walked him out to my car, and went in, I watched the video, I called detectives. We didn't have the actual firearm. So it was a case where we just took the report, released the guy, and the detective was going to follow up and make sure, you know, that I think what it was the owner said, yeah, I want to take a report right now, but I don't necessarily want to prosecute. I want to give him the opportunity to return my gun. If he returns the gun, I won't press charges. Well, this guy had already gone and sold the gun. So we released the guy, and then, I don't know, months later, I actually get an email from the liaison between my department and like the ATF task force. And he gives me like an incident number. He's like, hey, congratulations. We were able to use your report to charge so-and-so with this crime. You know, it was a federal firearms offense. He was sentenced today, and he's going to get 4 years in prison, 4 years in federal prison for his crime. I went and I looked up the run, and it was that run where this stupid homeless guy picked up a gun out of a drawer and stole it. Apparently he went and sold it or traded it for dope. And wasn't able to get it back. So he actually got brought up on federal charges, and he's doing 4 years in a federal penitentiary for this theft of a firearm offense. Now, the reason that I say that this is part of our, and this is a white guy, mind you, this is kind of our two-tier justice system, is because these federal prosecutors don't take cases that are difficult. They take cases that are easy. They're taking like the easy layup cases. So we have a bunch of drug dealers out there on the street that are known drug dealers, known human traffickers, known bad guys that have been ruining the streets for years and years and years and years. And we've caught them. I mean, I've arrested them. I know my friends have arrested some of these drug dealers multiple times with guns and drugs on their person at the same time. We've been able to document a pattern of activity. We're able to document the fact that they are dealing drugs. We can bring in witnesses that say they're dealing drugs, this, that, and the other thing. And when they get picked up, they typically get, a few months plus some probation. They're never doing hard time. And then we get this stupid homeless guy that goes and steals a gun out of a drawer, like kind of a crime of opportunity, and he's doing 4 years of federal time. The reason he's doing 4 years of federal time, and the reason these drug dealers are not, is because they have money, he does not have money. Now, one of the sad things about that kind of situation is that the city prosecutor is going to brag about how they have a working relationship with the feds, that they're taking violent criminals off the street. These are weapons offenders, serious criminals, and all this other stuff, and that they're making our streets safer. I think there's a strong argument to be made that taking that stupid idiot homeless guy who's got a drug problem off the streets for 4 years isn't doing anybody any good. It's not making the streets any safer. I'm not diminishing his crime, because that gun that he stole was most likely given to a drug dealer, and now it's being used in violent offenses. But this guy in himself was not committing a violent offense. The funny thing is, if we catch a drug dealer with that stolen firearm, the same one that got this guy 4 years of federal time, that drug dealer is probably not going to get as much time as the guy that stole that gun. That's the really sad thing about that. I don't know. That was just one really quick and easy story that I have, and if I were to go through all of the reports and everything I've taken, I could probably find dozens of these. It's really frustrating on multiple counts. And I had another story, but I'm going to save that for another time, because I'm starting to lose my voice, and this one's already starting to get longer than I expected. But it's really frustrating on multiple accounts, because there's this outcry in society that because there's so many poor people and black people in prison, that obviously it's the police's fault, because the police are arresting these people, putting them in prison. If the police weren't arresting these people, they wouldn't be in prison. Therefore, the police are racist. That's not the case. And I know people cringe when you say, I'm just doing my job. But my job is to enforce the laws that are put in place. And most of the time, the only thing I'm doing is taking a simple report documenting a crime that happened. If someone steals a firearm, that's a crime that occurs. It's my job to document that crime. What the court system does with that is completely out of my control. And I'm not going to go, I mean, you can't. That'd be unethical, and that'd be something that you shouldn't expect a police officer to do, is be selective about what reports he's going to take and how he's going to document these things. It's absolutely absurd. The thing that I wish our court system would do would be to actually put the effort necessary into going after hardened criminals and putting them away, rather than just taking easy wins and saying, look, we got a weapons offender in prison for 4 years. We're making your society safer. I've got so many stories like that from over the years that I could tell. The other one that I was going to tell, which I'll save for another day, was domestic violence related. I had a guy that was just stupid. He had a previous domestic violence conviction. I had to arrest him for domestic violence, and they hammered his ass. And really, it was one of the dumber domestic violence cases that I've had to handle. But because he was kind of stupid, kind of an idiot, and he didn't have money to get a real attorney, he got his feet held to the fire. Meanwhile, we have these other domestic violence offenders out there that are doing it over and over and over again. And we're told that you don't necessarily need the victim to cooperate on a domestic violence case, that the body camera footage should be enough. That if I show up and I talked to Betty Sue, and Betty Sue's got blood pouring out of her nose, and she's crying, and she's like, yeah, Jimmy did it to me, and the only two people in the house are Betty Sue and Jimmy, and I arrest Jimmy, and then she wants to recant her testimony and not cooperate with the court. I've been told that that body camera footage should be enough to get a conviction on him in court, but that's not what is happening. And a lot of these like really bad, nasty domestic violence offenders are getting released, or their charges are getting pled down to things like criminal mischief. That's like the favorite thing to do in Franklin County Court, is to plea a domestic violence charge down to criminal mischief. And the sole reason that they're doing that is because the defendant has a halfway decent attorney. And these prosecutors don't want long drawn out trials. Not only do the prosecutors not want long drawn out trials where they actually have to fight for every bit of evidence, these judges don't want that kind of stuff either. And a prosecutor that continues to push their case over and over and over again in front of the judge is pissing off these judges, and the judges are not giving these prosecutors the outcomes that they want because the judges are pissed off that their docket is so thick, and these prosecutors are making these trials take too long. These are the real problems with our court system, and these are the real injustices that are happening. I see it on a daily basis, and it's completely out of my control. I guess the best thing that I can do about it is speak up, and that's what I'm doing now. And whenever I have the opportunity to do so, I will. That's the promise that I'll make to you. With all that being said, I think I'm out of here. I'm losing my voice. My nose is running. I'll talk to you guys later.